그래서 먼저 한테 제가 준비기 취 냠래 제바라 안에 당보 안에 군론기 做안 자주 셈 냠래 제고래 자주 셈 진짜 자주 셈 셈제 탐지게 된다 상주고 봐 토벌쇼 세야지 다 자주 셈게 당보 잠니지고 하선 남도 공발에 되네 셈제 탐지 고요 동안에 자지 야 상지 살랑이 고기 세비 하선 남다기 되네 그 셈제 탐지 상주고 봐 토벌쇼 세비 자주 셈 귤라기 해 자지 다 되네게 자주 셈 기회 돈에다 아니 아주 가르쳐 상기고 뭐 투비 치료도 나 가르쳐 왔으네 나 파신 중에 냠내 지고 그래서 자 파신 중에 냠내 세대 그신 다 진비 냠내 제다 수비 냠내 한 온도신에 가서 진비 냠내나 수림 냠내 니디 아주 그신 쉬사시.
Good morning. So last time we were looking at the that when one practices the Mahayana Dharma, one does so primarily motivated by bodhicitta. And bodhicitta is the determination to strive for and achieve enlightenment for the sake of others. And the mind of enlightenment, bodhicitta, arises in dependence on the prior generation of the altruistic attitude of universal responsibility, whereby one takes as one's own personal, individual responsibility to alleviate suffering from all beings without exception. Having generated bodhicitta, then one needs to engage in the actual practices of bodhisattvas in order to achieve their desired goal, Buddhahood. And those practices are the 6 perfections. And of the 6, we looked last time at the first 2, that of generosity and ethical restraint.
아들은 언제 뭐随便 냠는 제하고 쉬어야 지나다随便 냠는 제하고 쉬는데 당보 아니 쇠바 공백이 아니 판에 쇠비 판에 쇠바 공나 판에 되네 요래서야다 온도시네 아니 쇠비 연대다 쇠비 판에다 되네 삼다제 되네 쇠바 공고래 사실 되네 마도 쉬어야 돼.
We'll start immediately then looking at the third of the 6, and that is the perfection of patience. And the presentation starts with the benefits or the qualities of patience.
Thubten namla jen yi cho, nyamo dungwa katu kun yi pul, ane shedang lao zhe chala namka ting, tsiksu chunja sabi gocha yins, detar she ne sui cho gocha la, namba naso sui yi gombra zes, ane na zhungi kya nyamne detar ze, tardo da kya dishin kya sa lo sa shi.
Verses 27 and 28. Patience is the finest ornament of the mighty. It is the greatest fortitude counteracting the agonies of the afflictions. Against its enemy, the snake of hatred, it is a Garuda soaring in the sky. Against the weapon of harsh words, it is the strongest armor. Knowing this, you should habituate yourself with the armor of supreme patience by all means possible. I, a yogi, are practiced in this manner. You who aspire for liberation should do likewise.
나 쇠바 공바이나 쇠비 판연 간에 요래서 나 쇠바 마공바이나 아니 교양 가려 용고래 세티시거와.
So let's start by looking at what are the benefits of cultivating the mind of patience and the faults of not doing so.
네 쇠바 Thubten namla genyi cho 세디 Thubten 세디 Thubten 세디 아니 가르소스는 하는 주기 네 최념는 제기 연결기 듬바 첨부 여바다 안시엘리아 펜버트비에기 ndeba tenyer ki tumba chimbo yogen tenege samlo kya chimbo yogen tela Thubten sikro Thubten da genyi cho sikro seba di genyi cho res tenege Thubten tisola genyi cho res da ga genyi cho labna da ga ju ge gen ru da bai ne 근데 gen da ya le gen nga ju da ya le gen ya bo da ane du bu mong bo ro ga xie gen yin ba la gen xia ra yo ro xia ga xie be ma se gen 근데 도저히 팔람다 세다 되니게 게임비기다 공치 보셔 견다 되니게 아제 아직 상다 자다 되네 아직 응은주마다 되네 소에 견 먹고요 Jisa dini gen dawen ne gen cho se di da nga ji bene gen ya sho dorje phala na se da dini gi gen bi gen che ya ko da wa ye na ane mi de la gal gi re se na digi gen che so so ya be ma se ga de da ju bo ba dang ga di shu li go wa da ga gen chi ya ko shu da de ye se be so so le sem de wo dang ga lang la ro shi li ro wa mi xin yi tong bai ne o da ko gen ya ko shu da ja sin be ya wo le she sin mi ko de le an ji 이문지로 와도 야고슈도 사실 이거로 와다가 지당하는 윤량아서 지대별 조사시하나 어다 베디나신데 gengi çoksa gense söbese de gengi nane çoğdu gibi esire sulü çoğdu gibi resinde dobde dümba geva gevi nyamlence dönür dümba yobada şenle pembe dönür dümba yöteken deniki gevis 제 dümba dönür dümba deni çimbo yötendi yela ne gengi çoğre söbede gengi çoğre esire.
Looking at the first line, patience is the finest ornament of the mighty. Mighty then refers to those who have a powerful wish to cultivate the minds of the Mahayana Dharma within them for the sake of others. And this wish is a dominant attitude of theirs, that they want to cultivate the various qualities of the Mahayana Dharma in order to be of great benefit to others. And this is the meaning of the term mighty. And the ornaments, well, we know in the world there's a wide variety of ornaments. Some are imitation and cheap and of no value. They may be a little bit sparkling, but they really have no value. Others, such as diamonds and other jewels, are held to have great value. But amongst the wide variety of ornaments, that which ornaments the qualities of the mighty is the ornament of patience. And this is because it is a supreme patience, or a finest ornament for cultivating the goals for oneself and others, for enabling one's spiritual progress in order to be of ever greater benefit for others. Hence, this ornament of patience is the finest for those who are the mighty, those who are striving for enlightenment for the sake of others.
That's 다 데니게 톱된들에 gengi 초래 세대 초인비기 김제로 시카르람나 되네다 저기 지키셴리야 소수기 취냠내 제비기 냠내 제베 기주주베나다 지셴리야 펜바주지 펜바주요도 나 저기 단셴라이 한저 기위 잠을 셴레 펜바르데 기위 자로 자와지로 셴라 펜바주비 대복군어 열에 펜베 삼바 열에 소수 개화자에게 됨바 돈이 됨바 개화들이야 산je 건줄이야 대바다 이시체 냠는 지거로 와다가서 개화 먹고 시기고로 와 이내 당아저 셴레 로바다 셴레 펜바 주디 갑라 안델이야 셴지 안지게 남유응한 버점바다 셴기 직제바이나 마주 뇌바도뇨 직콩저 사바이나 다 나주레 셴레 펜바 주디게 삼바다 기회 삼로 열때 세바지 검토와 매바나 남사 안델레바 파 콘라게 아 댕이 로바치기데 추연 된데 지기도 선비가 남사 콘라 사바이나 안데 가샤르 소소 마기바 차야다 샬라마 장라 마기바 차거로와 디니 갑리야 마주 세비 냠네 진데 데니가 세바지 검토바이나 아네 셈네 추 냠몽게 생기 네와라 삼가다나 소소리아 가랑라 데랑라 지마도 안둥아기 마르와 저 세바 세비디기 겐다와나 가나지요 바나진 데니 세버 검토바이나 소설레 셈 마추바시에 셈 플래시시 되두고래 제로와 다 소설하는 게 기회 냠는지 지금 아직 제와 갑래 한 갑래야 수보깔레카다 셈깔레카다 냠는지와 마싱베 강아 셈베 슈묘도 아직 셈 마치월이 용으로 제선 델이야 세버 콤바이나 데니게 세버 콤묘도 데니 강아 같이 채베네 셈레 마치와 메바 셈 플래시시 제거래 제선 세바 세디 gengi 초래 세디 같이 세베 냠네 제바이나 랑게 기주 가르치나 셴기 토네 뇽몽 게네 랑라 강아 제바다 랑기 토네 강아 그래 요베네 세보 검투바이나 안셈리아 시디 흘리 시스템 마추바죠 흘리시시 되투고레스 지나 gengi 초셈 동아 마케바 흘리 젠데니 되투고레스 요르와다 지나 gengi 초래 세디스
To further expand why the ornament of patience is the finest of ornaments for those who are striving to cultivate the Mahayana Dharma within themselves, those who are referred to here as the mighty. is because it aids oneself and others. The practice of patience aids oneself and others, in that when one is engaging, for example, in the cultivation of virtue, whether one is directly interacting with others, or when one is not explicitly interacting with others, but for their sake, one is accumulating virtue, eliminating afflictions, and so forth. The presence of this finest of ornaments, the mind of patience, ensures that one is not overcome by the obstacles that one does encounter. Because we know from our own experience that we do encounter many obstacles in the cultivation of virtue, in our endeavors to be of benefit for others. Vast stores of merit need to be accumulated in order to become a Buddha. And this takes a protracted period of time. And over this period of time, one encounters so many obstacles. However, to the extent that one has cultivated patience, as one encounters these obstacles, whether they're coming from others we encounter, or they're arising in terms of, or from our own inner turmoil, our patience will ensure that our motivation isn't weakened. Our practice of patience will ensure that we do not become dispirited, feeling that it's too difficult. Rather, we'll know, or through practicing patience, the obstacles we encounter will not really even be experienced as such, in that they will not harm our motivation, they will not impede our development. So, for example, if the difficulties one has with receiving teachings and reading on the teachings and then meditating on the teachings, these difficulties that we do experience, life can seem very busy, we have many priorities, these can overwhelm us, feeling that, oh, it's too difficult, I can't do this now. Patience helps prevent that attitude of it is too difficult from dominating, from overcoming us. Likewise, when engaged in activities directly to be of benefit to others, often they may show an attitude of ingratitude and so forth. Patience will prevent the arisal of anger. Patience will prevent the arisal of annoyance and frustration. So in brief, all the difficulties that one does encounter whilst trying to cultivate, whilst trying to change our minds, transform our way of thinking, patience ensures that those obstacles do not overwhelm us, and in fact, that our motivation doesn't even weaken. So therefore, this ornament of patience is the finest of ornaments.
Nyomo duwi kadu kunyi puls. Chazada nga zo nyomo duwi kadu kunyi puls ide, ta nyomo be wangi, ta nga zilya dungwa sena nyomo be wangi nga zilya dungwa naso nyoya desigruwa, nyoyo de. Chazada pene ta deshi sheba na shi, shihengi kongrasa, shengi kongchugi nga zilya tsiksub sheya da, shengi nga zilya namgyu dukcha tenpas nyomo wangi nga zilya nyoba kiba ina, ta nga zilya seba kom tupume na, ta nga zilya jike gewa cheye ki dunba da dunye ki gewe samlo yoba na, seba kom matuma namsa palya kongro kiye, ane tsiksub sheya da, dibo mokbosa, ane di wangi nga zilya rangma kiba, shen ma kiba, nika rangshen nika ma kiba suyorwa. Chizada nyomo dungse de shengi nga zilya nyoba ki nyomo nga zilya nyoba kiba ina, Ndelya nga zu nyo sebo komche katupse de nga zu teniki kale nyomo wangi teniki chebe ina telya chik sebo kom tuba ina ane kari ngorasene soso pechu gi shengi wangi nyomo nga zu lepe chik chik subla ya dan tukja shibuji gorda soso li sebo komba ya soso li asem le shi shi che ne ane sem le kanga tiki mare che jiga kanga tiki mare me wanza seso sem gelang la se le shi shi che gores che zan ji cha de pa la kong la ya dan de chik chik zu mala de soso dipa sa go mares che zan soso gi dipa ma sa wa che ne dus che ne ane soso gi sebo kom tu ba na ane di na de chik kasore denige sebo kom ya de da nyamlengi nane denigi shengi nyoba nyomo be kanga shengi nyomo ongi kanga chiseyodu danga zo chole deba yores deba yode geware de digi sebo komdu mena pigi kasanga zugi semlhushi ching pa khon la de ka thuk marwa jesa dene za Sweba Madubna, Nazo San Chul, Deva Yoba Inayang, Church, Dumba Yoba, Deva Yoba, Shanla Pambi Samba Yoba Inayang, Sheni Yomo, you never do so Sweba Maduna, Pakon Laya, Dicimado, Deva Deva Digi, Conro de Gatumarwan. Jinati Sweba Kovana, Digi Gaya Lea, and Puduchuma, the Choto Yuba, got to put the chalk said. Deniki. Nyomombe onge dunga yala sebo komba ina dunga di manyo yala soso lele tu yadi and choto gyubares sebo di choto gyubares ora.
And looking at the next line, patience is the greatest fortitude, counteracting the agonies of the afflictions. So this then refers to when we are, for example, interacting with others, and they may respond to us in an unwanted manner. They may be angry towards us, they may speak harshly towards us, look down on us, criticize us, belittle us. So in these situations, we know too well from experience that all too often we respond in kind. And if we don't verbally or physically respond in kind, mentally we may be upset, mentally we may become dispirited, weak, have our mind become dispirited, lose its strength and energy. So in those circumstances, should we respond in a similar manner to how we've been spoken to? Already we are unhappy, and through the response, we compound the unhappiness of the other person. And when we do that, as a person who aspires to the paths of the Mahayana Dharma, who aspires to be of real meaningful benefit to others, when we see that we again have become afflicted, we again have acted in a way that brings harm to others, our motivation to benefit others is harmed. Our aspiration to spiritually transform ourselves to be of great benefit to others can be harmed. On the other hand, though, if one has trained successfully over a sustained period in patience, when those same words are said to you, coming from the same motivation, the same facial expression, the same unwanted behavior towards one, patience will naturally arise within one, independence on extensive prior training, and therefore one's mind stays undisturbed in the face of this adversity, and with a mind that now is remaining spacious, calm, and open, one is able to respond skillfully. And one can respond skillfully because the afflictions are not arising. Therefore, instead of responding in the habitual afflicted way where one just creates negative karma as well as bringing harm to others, one now is able to respond skillfully, benefiting the other and creating virtue. Completely the opposite. So, no matter how strong one's faith is in the Buddha Dharma, no matter how strong one's aspiration is to spiritually develop and be of meaningful benefit in the lives of others, without patience, we'll struggle to progress because we do encounter obstacle after obstacle. And moreover, through encountering obstacles and being overwhelmed by them, our aspiration, we will not be able to fulfill our aspiration. And therefore, our aspiration, our motivation, may well be harmed.
Sim Shumbada, the Ngurata, the Yosa Maranga Kaleka to say, Makaleka, the Dingy Chetusa Maresembige, Sim Shumbada, the Nigi, Sosulia Dunga, that Leondu, and Robachevale, Robachi, Yahuchi, Matuba, that Danga, Robache to Midu, Sembige, Sem Makiwa Chada, and Jig, me, Jig Yamlen Chalang, Yamlen Yahuchi, to Midu, Singing Midu, Sembige, Sem Shumiada, the Nigi Gangaleta, the Nigi Shum Ganga, that Dinike Gangali Ducabla, Dini Subakum, Subinyam Chahorejir, Subakumbaina, or that in a Chishan la Pandochidu, Robachidu, Ganga Yungure Gidina, Yungure, the Ganga Maya Yama Ineda, Ganga la Tolan Jeva, the recipe, Dini Ganga, Kayo Marshall, Pembo Duella, Dan Rangi Chin, Yamle Chavala, Ganga Katsu, Nikanga Chigin, Ganga Chevan, Donda Chambures, then the Rahana Shen Nigale Pingores. Dinigi sometimes Subakumbaina, Dinigi Ganga, the same Shumba Yama, and Chick. Meva Changazuki, Sem Shumba, Meva Chan, Yamlen Chia, Shen, Roche Valaya, Pantochi to Ayungures. She said, the nigger Subakumyadi, Dunga Danling Subas or Sosolia, and Dunga Chubina, Shen Yudunda, Shen Pambadova, Rangi Kijun, Yamlen Dualeta, that Tarba, the Tamjikin Book of Ontoya, Dunala, thinking Galeka taking a jagging, some time, didn't the some time. Didn't seem Mashumbata, so sim Luleva, Ganga Kazuina, Shala Roche Bata, Shenyi Digi Duata, Rangi Kichu, Ganga Kazuna, Gangalia, and the Ganga Masampache, and Sim Lulachin, and Chetugures. And the Zadanga do share didn't Gawadi Hangangia, Yaya, Nuba Church to yesterday. So Magumbaina, or that thing I. Kalek the Chigonsa, Malasam Dadi, Shashos and Basha, some Shaya, so the Yamlet Odangashing Kalek, the Subukala, the Chimes and Beshada, the new Suba Magombina, the Nikipa, and Batsam Shasha in Yangai, which is a Suba Combina, the Nig Sim Shumba de Kepa, and the Mava Chayata, and so simply, and the Geshe de Nangia Shukshatu to Anguris, says I the Nigge Puluchuares, Yashures, Suba Comia, the Nika Kabla. Deva Yobatsamgi, and the Gangadi, the Suba Mogombaina, and the Jigmaris, the Suba Combine, the Nig Gangasia, Yashur is order.
When we think about the practice of patience, when we think about the need for cultivating patience, there are a few situations, types of situations, where we have to rely on patience. So this would be, firstly, where we encounter obstacles in our interactions with others, whether directly or indirectly. As was just mentioned, when people speak to us in a harsh manner, or they criticize us, they belittle us, when we encounter situations like that, patience is crucial. A second area where patience is imperative is not when we directly or indirectly interacting with others, but we engaging in the Dharma practice, and we encountering obstacles in the accumulation of virtue. So here we have our own inner turmoil. The cause of the potential arisal of the afflictions is not from someone external to us, but our own inner turmoil, because we may be sitting in teachings or sitting in our room or engaging in some virtuous activity, and we're having our own inner turmoil, and this is disturbing us. So in both of these situations, we are in danger. Our accumulation of virtue is in danger. And certainly we are in danger of accumulating non-virtue, further obstacles to our spiritual development. Moreover, we may well, especially as one does encounter many problems and difficulties in life, we start to become dispirited, weak-minded. And here there's a danger of giving up in our spiritual training, or at the very least postponing it. It's too difficult for me now, I'm not ready now, my life is too busy. Postponing it, finding excuses to do so. Or of course giving up as well. Moreover, this can harm how we view ourselves, thinking, I am no good, this is too difficult for me. These are practices, or accumulating virtue, training my mind is too difficult for me. I am not up to this. That is a completely wrong way to think, because we all have the ability to train our minds in the way that the Dharma presents, transform who we are, and fulfill our potential. And a key component to being able to do so is the practice of patience. Because to the extent that we've trained well in this practice of patience, our mind will be undisturbed in the face of adversity, whether the adversity is coming from others or our own inner turmoil. We will understand that in samsara, one encounters unwanted situations all the time. This is to be expected. There's nothing surprising about our own inner turmoil or experiencing unwanted communication or interactions from others. There's nothing to be surprised about. This is how it is in samsara. Accompanying this acceptance is a mind of great strength that recognizes the great benefit that comes from transforming the situation and not being overwhelmed. Merely not being overwhelmed by the situation has benefit, but transforming it, using it to strengthen our resolve ever stronger, this has great benefit. So one recognizes, firstly, that in samsara we encounter problems. Secondly, that by transforming these difficulties, looking at the same situation in a different way, gives us great strength of mind and enables us to accumulate vast stores of virtue and to be of ever greater benefit to others. So what we see here is through developing this attitude of patience, this mind that stays undisturbed in the face of adversity, one willingly takes on suffering, problems, and obstacles because one understands that one encounters these situations in samsara. That's not surprising. Moreover, there's great benefit for oneself and others through our successful transforming these situations. And we transform them by how we look at them. We don't allow our mind to dwell on the difficulties. So when we're in a difficult situation, an unwanted situation, we don't allow our mind to dwell on that negative aspect. Rather, we focus on the potential that can come from this same situation. So what we are doing is relating to our own inner turmoil or to our encounters with others in a completely different manner. And this is due to the practice of patience. Again, no matter how strong one's faith is, no matter how strong one's desire is to have a great impact on the lives of others, if one isn't skilled in patience, that faith, that desire, that ambition will not be strong enough to overcome these obstacles. But patience doesn't only allow us to overcome them or enable us to overcome them, but actually to transform them. So hence, patience is a crucial practice.
지산 셰당 라오드 칼 잘라 남가 딩시드 셰당 세도 콘트체 셰당체 콘트체 라오드 스데다 주나시레서 콘트 주 라오드 스네 줄라고 지산 셰당 주나시치 지산 데리아 아니직 에 칼라 딩시드 자회르치 지산 자회기 주이기 파심제 사시 묘수고로와 지산 디니엔자 마한줄야 주나신 다 라오드기 콘트스키야 기도다 데리아 안 파 지게 가서 셈 맞추바체 생랑주 셈 흘려지 비나 콘트게 생기 수소야 미니비 콘트게 소소 셈 맞추바 흘려지시 되투겐디 가르치려서는 디게 가서 쇠바디 지고 그래서 쇠바 공부하나 디제투 그래요 제투 그래서 제가 카딩이 나시래 가서는 주기 카딩을 안 내두고 카딩이 파 줄판 매바 수고를 마도 순내두고 말이나 신당 지금 쇠바 공부이나 아니 예당기 주나신 제 샤란지게 순간들이야 셈마기 버스투 말레스 제가 쇠말 소소리나 셈마기 버스투 말 소수기 셰당 가서 쇠바 공부이네 생기 셰당 개베이네 소수기 쇠바 공부 파주기 셰당디야 길리길리 마 히도 그랬어 히투 거래 제가 당한 저기 셰당 쇠바 먹으면 저 팔레지 랍는 녀진네 거기도 콘로 흉체를 두고와 제가 가서 쇠바 공부이네 파주 당보도 콘로 사이네 길리길리 진 히도 그랬어 제가 되네자 디레스 월다스 카데나시레스
The third line, against its enemy, the snake of hatred, it is a Garuda soaring in the sky. Yep, the term we have as hatred, we understand as anger, how we usually translate it, it's the same Tibetan word. So, hatred or anger is a great enemy for all beings, because it leads only to the accumulation of non-virtue, harms oneself and is likely to harm others and will harm others whenever it's expressed. So therefore, anger is likened to a snake, an enemy. And the reason it's likened to a snake is in this simile. A Garuda is likened, the practice of patience is likened to a Garuda, a mythical bird that kills that kills snakes. So here, the mythical bird of a Garuda that kills snakes is likened to the practice of patience that completely overwhelms and eradicates anger. So the meaning of this analogy is, as one trains ever more in patience, anger will struggle to arise. Anger will arise less and less frequently, and when it does, it will merely show itself and it will dissipate due to the habituation with patience. This ensures that the practitioner's mind stays open and spacious. Hence, the likening in the verse to soaring in the sky. The mind of the practitioner stays open and spacious like a clear sky. Moreover, due to the mind not being afflicted, but rather virtue arising, they're able to respond to others in a skillful manner, easing their burden, easing their suffering. Moreover, huge stores of virtue are accumulated. And this is all due to the presence of patience. The successful training in patience protects oneself, protects others, leads to the accumulation of virtue and our ongoing spiritual development, and our mind remaining virtuous, spacious, and free from the rise of powerful afflictions such as anger.
ngāngzhū chik gyōngzhū shē, cik zūbō shī wū shē wē nē, dā ngāngzhū sēbō kōm tū wē nā, dēne ngāngzhū kāngā chik mā rēs. Kārā sī nā, dā cik zūb sē dē chōnchā dā pēchē, chōnchā pāshō kē shēng kī dē dāng, dā dāng, miam dā dāng, kār sō rē, chik dēne kī ngāngzhū yā zūbō lē, nē yā kī tuan dā lē dūs dāng wā yī nā, sō sō kī chik bē sā wā sī nā, chā, chā hū, tū hū, dēne kī dū lō kōng bā yī nā, da gyabna sususubola nyugo mar memda gyane susubola nyugo mar ji gyabna susubola nyugo mar sa chonje ge susubola nga su susubola nyugo mares dene ge cha ge chakbo dene ji dulo gwen shabaina gwen yoban dane nga su sebe sedi dene ge dulo na ji bares 지상 susu ge sebe nyamda yakbo chigo yobana han shengi tsupda gyönje da ji dongge 넘bio duje har tyenbana susu nyugo mares 그래서 nyugo ma sem makiba chege mares sem makiba chege mares sem makiba 마차데 안에 코로나야다 디니 가용고 말 디니 매베네 안 소소 셈 려려 차야다 안 소소 코로나야다 디니 매드 안에 즉 소소기 계획 잡아야 냠네 지야고 야용하다 디용거래 지사 덴딩기 안에 세요 고차나시 고차레스 그러다가 수습다 디니기 뇌버기야라 손뇌버기 용도 디니기 까야기 때 고차디 가래서는 쇠버디 가도 그래시래.
In the fourth line, against the weapon of harsh words, it is the strongest armor. So here we draw to mind pictures of knights from days gone by. The mind, that is the mind of patience, serves as our armor, protecting our mind from the accumulation of non-virtue in the face of any danger, whether it's someone we encounter or whether it's our own inner turmoil. So the verse is explicitly referring to when we encounter others, because when others speak to us in a harsh way, or they criticize us, or they speak divisively about us, this disturbs us so. And we can hold on to this with resentment going around in our head again and again for hours, sometimes days, sometimes even months, always remembering what has been said. Patience, on the other hand, will ensure that those words do not penetrate us. And moreover, no matter the strength of viciousness with which someone speaks to us, it will not penetrate, it will not harm us. Rather, we will be able to respond to them in a helpful manner, in a manner to diffuse the situation. And this is such an important training, because right now, even if we see someone showing an unpleasant facial expression towards us, this alone can disturb us, let alone the speech that may follow. But if we practice patience, our mind will stay undisturbed and will accumulate huge virtue in those same situations, all from relating to the same situation in a completely different manner.
Dine inza söbigi söbo kombayina na rashen changmalaya nga kariyarasne chesa söbo kombayina shengi sosolya anjigi nyo dösha khonjo nyomo wangi an sosul nebe kiba ibaina ra an shengi nyomo wangi tsupta deneki kanga mango chebaina sosolya söbo kom söbi nyemne chitubaina an sem machuba sem lele cha sem machuba ta yungure an phala khonjo masaya de yungures dine yedu an nga sem 기와다 안 소소기 개조한 냠는디게 야고용구리 해서야지다 수비 연된되네 도와서야다 되네 안에 지금 소소기 지금 샹래 로바 제바다 소소기 취 냠는 제바다 되네 아직 셈 슌바다 되네 용배는 수비 냠는 제반 셈 슌바디게 되네 용마레스 지사 되네 메드 소소 슌바 메드 소소기 닝도블리게스 닝도블레데 소소 냠는 제야되게 하는 야야슈 누보 콘페두 코레스 지사 셴이 측수다 간에 레베나 소소를 누고 말 지사 수비 연된되게 되네 도와 셈베게 삼다데 당 제가 제바 수비 연된되는 시오레스 지사 수보고 마도바 있나 아니 셴기 측수다 그 셴기 녀모 원게 소소 개회 냠네 셴라 판바지와다 소 직제에네 셴기 녀버지에다 측수다 독자라여도 남사들에 컨트롤라 안디 그 셴라 판바 어디 내제나 교회되는 시기도 와서 되는 로고지에 잠샤다 판바마도 되니 잠샤야 돼. 아니 소소 컨트롤라도 팔레 독자샤다 지도 소소기로 녀모버지에다 아니 디바망고 사용 그래서 녀마케와 제주기 되게 아니 마 디바사비 개와되게 좀 로고레스 다 소소기 냠내 지도 갑래 강한 그때 셈심 신기 민두세다 아는 류를 강아도 강아 영사말에서 셈심에도 세바고 마토반 되니게 셈심비 왕기 되니 강한 저기 냠내 지야 봐 잠샤다 어다 디시 대시 육쇼서 샤샤다 되니 샤샤도네 레로디 되니 아는 아주 기회 자와디 잠자 야기 좀 하면 자고스 세상 되니게 안도셔는 소소이네 소소 강아를 되는 갈래 그랬으면 와당아 강아 직제도 마서서 되는 코로나야 코로기 그랬어 되니 코로기를 녀마게 와사주 개와디 좀 두고 세상 세번 먹은 바이나 소소를 균되는 요래 세번 공바이나 소소를 균되는 요래서 올다
Someone who's skilled in patience will understand themselves well. They'll understand the inner workings of their minds well, and thereby be able to understand others too. And this means when others treat one in an unwanted manner, criticize, deprecate one, scold one, speak in a harsh manner or badly about behind one's back, about one behind one's back. Someone who's skilled in patience will understand that that person right now is afflicted. Anger has arisen, or attachment has arisen, or ignorance has arisen within them. They are afflicted and they are suffering. And those afflictions are present in their continuum. The person then who's skilled in this training will know that what harms them, the practitioner, is not the minds in the continuum of another, not the expression of those minds through, for example, speech. What harms oneself is the arisal of one's own afflictions. Knowing this, the practitioner of patience will ensure their mind stays calm and spacious so that the afflictions don't arise. And being skilled in this, their afflictions don't arise, their mind stays wide and spacious. And this alone leads to accumulation of virtue. Moreover, they will have a strong appreciation for the suffering being before them. In this way, compassion arises, and ever more virtue is accumulated. Moreover, seeing how differently they are responding in these situations, how differently they are responding in these situations from before, will add to the great strength of mind, knowing that they are progressing well, knowing that they can transform difficult situations, taking on the suffering of others, without being overwhelmed, without having one's good motivation, one's pure motivation, be overwhelmed. This is how a skilled practitioner of patience deals with these situations. Someone, though, who has not yet made good progress in the practice of patience, merely from an unwanted facial expression from others, and certainly in dependence on their words, such really insignificant obstacles such as these will overwhelm them. Overwhelm them in the sense that immediately they too become afflicted. And now you have two afflicted beings facing off. Moreover, the arisal of anger leads to the accumulation of non-virtue, as well as the destruction of previously accumulated non-virtue. So not only is this person now unhappy, but they're accumulating non-virtue and destroying previously accumulated virtue. And then resulting from this, they may well think, oh, practicing the Dharma is so difficult, I'm not up to it. This is too hard for me. I can't do this. I am not good enough. This is a wrong way of thinking. Completely mistaken. Because we all have the capacity, the ability to become skilled in patience and achieve a desired result. All from looking at the same situation in a completely different way, in a skillful way.
Söba Thubten namla yenyu cho Thubten se de jidang de ji she na she ngazu gewe jawa jan panba zhuwa da rangi gewe jawa nyamla jiba tönyu yutumba shukshenbo yoba si gore ine da kaptir angar jawa sene Thubten semje tam jege dondo sanyo ko ba dondo nyari ge ne denegi shendu gechenbo zhube semshu topchenbo yoba se de ngazu janshi sembege nyamlen jar sheba da disi gore söba Thubten si de da di ka so Thubten semje tam jege donda la ya sanyo ko ba topde dönyagi dönba denegi semle gechenbo topchenbo yetingin de zola söba de nyamle chore sa shi gore wa
Bearing in mind the context that we're in here, that we're talking about a practitioner who's made the determination to become a Buddha for the sake of others. Such a being has already developed a powerful attitude and has a mind that is vast and expansive. So their outlook is far-sighted and their mind is wide and expansive. So such a person is what is referred to in the first line as mighty, because of the goal that they're striving for, as well as the breadth of their outlook. So for them, in order to accumulate vast stores of virtue and be of true lasting benefit to others, patience is not only the finest ornament, but it is an indispensable one too.
Denegi and deter shene sidu suecha kochalas. Chesa Jenny Semba Namgi Garsore, Super Yemlin Chayati, Rangi Tuenduya, the Rangi Kejo Tubiada, Shenji, and Shanle Pember Tubiala, Ganga Mayaki, and Denegi Yamlin Chapel, Suba the Bear, must a lot of new Tupia, the Denegi Choto Cuba Yimbade, Haku Kingores, and Dimase, Shenji. Dunga Kongro Shiala Sosu Sebo combine Shenyi Sem and Sem Zuboda, this will contradict she took your body changes by the King Goddess. Says that the Nigi Subigi Yamlin Cheban Bear Chick Sosugi Kongro Matiaba, Sem Machuba, Susuki Jawan Yamlin Digi Ya Yaki and Gone going to pick your body, then Subigi Yamlin Chabane. The Yahweh Yashores and Dinicoche Kenje, and Dine Sevocomiala, Nambanaso Sugi, Gombase, Sidu, Sevocombi, Gimde, some Nambanaso Sugi, Gombases. Is that Sebi Yamlin Cheva in the Gimten Naso, Nambanaso, and some days, Sevocombina, Rangla Pemba, Shenla Pemba, Rashi Nigela Pemba, Suzuki Yamlin, Yani and the compared to Drova. ane soba combine shenle dunga mateba shangi dunga semdi shituba dusin gimje anji dusin gimje mangbo samda chetini je seba namji ane sobe nyamlen dusnan gore jere.
Verse 28. Knowing this, you should habituate yourself with the armor of supreme patience by all means possible. Having come to understand clearly the benefits of patience, in fact, how crucial the practice of patience is in order to be able to spiritually develop, in order to be of great benefit to others and achieve one's goal. Patience is a crucial training that the bodhisattva as well as aspirant bodhisattva engages in. So they do this by whatever means possible, which means through utilizing a wide variety of reasonings, again and again looking at the many reasons why patience is a crucial skill to train in, thinking that in order to benefit others, I have to cultivate a mind of patience. In order for myself not to be harmed, I need to generate the mind of patience. In order to ensure I don't destroy past stores of virtue, in order to ensure that I accumulate virtue, in order to ensure that I can right now be of benefit to others, as well as through my spiritual development, be of ever greater benefit to others in the future, I have to develop patience. So it's thinking like this, with a mind that is both profound as well as expansive, using many reasonings. The bodhisattva and the aspirant bodhisattva makes great endeavor to cultivate the mind of patience, always relying on the mind of patience.
나중에 이제 냠는 데들 탈도다 그냥 대신 장사로 시도 제가 네네 냠아 안에 지게 서비 냠네 랑기 안에 취 냠는 제하다 안 현기 디기 주야 동화세야려 샹래 판도 주야려 안에 서비 냠는 제반에 판도 유비기 김센티로 삼다 안에 서버 마곤바 있나 안에 랑래뇨 강아제야 샹래 강아제야 라신니가라 강아제야 마세 되네 안에 콘로기 디왕기 라신 사상 개와 파제 마 좀야게 또 전에 김센 삼다제 에 되네 장에네 되네기 김센 넘바 나서고네 삼다제随便냠는 제와 인세 다 결혼조이니야 다 동아 타자를 줘야지 탈바다 탐지 김벽고 토고 탐지 산지고 토고 제상 선비 산인 거 토바라 随便냠는 제고고래 되네 지随便판연 삼당随便마고는 견딘데 도와随便겁나 판는데 유와 도와 섬지게 随便原点的随便마고 베견 삼다제 안데 随便냠는 제알에 배수지고래 고고래 사실 도신을 납치난 거와
And Geshe Rinpoche exhorts us at the end of this verse by saying, I, a yogi, have practiced in this manner. You who aspire for liberation should do likewise. So Lama Tsongkhapa followed the example of all those who have attained enlightenment and all those who are training in the minds of bodhicitta, those on the paths of the Mahayana Dharma, trained in patience through understanding that it is indispensable in order to spiritually develop oneself, in order to be of benefit to others right now, as well as to be of ever greater benefit to others in the long term. So therefore, in order to ensure that one is not overcome by anger or any of the myriad afflictions, please train in patience. All of you who have given rise to a wish to live a life of great meaning, reflect on the many benefits of training in patience, the great faults that will befall one should one not do so, and then make great endeavor to cultivate the mind of patience within yourself.
갈래 가보 책으로 미션다기 콘트롤 라상아 직수블라도 콘트롤 잼바이다 남산 코드텔 세바 검토야디 갈래 가보 책을 야 직수수는 기회 냠내지다 강아 태어도 야 수위 냠내 제토야디 검토야디 아들야 데스 갈래 가보 책을 장도를 매바자 진짜 디네 장아서 가상상에 가르쳐 오라서네 강아디 말레 녀래네야 삼나야 곰시 자야디 계침부 책을 당한도 두스네 당한도 지수 하나 미수대 태베네 미션다기 직수블라야다 소소를 막아위 녀모 원게 소소를 뇌베게 되는 제반데 니파 셈 맞추바체 쇠복검투바 지긴스 쇠복검기인스 안델야 셈 투바체네 소소 콘라랑 안 파래 직습자 독자시 되네 괜찮아 먹버체는 라신니까라 강아 먹버치기 대장이 쇠복검기인다 셈베게 녀레나가 쇠복검기 쇠복검시 되는 셈내야 장도르체 아니 미지게 되네 지나고 직시베네 가리네 뜻파 콘라말 쇠복검기세야다 다 소수게다 냠는 제베네 나 가브리엘야 아니 지수부게 강아체제다 제마토바 셈슈미야 용식데 가브리엘야 소수게 아니 마싱베 겐지나 아직 양지 셈슈미야 뽑아 차야 되는 용식데 되네 임바 디가블야 미스베콤 투지기 되네게 쇠바 쇠세데 셈 델야 되네 강아레도 델야 강아야 마삼바체 배 강아레샤 배 강아레샤레샤 양나양도 삼다바나 소수게 셈 투두고로 되네 강아지 레오데 델야 때 가고 샤마르 삼베게 디 강아 마삼바체 샤샤바 델 네 쇠바시고와 진짜 델야 진짜 되네 진짜 다 롭촌 지디 갑라 남상의 신투마 마신과 강아 용그레데 강아 용아디 지디 점레나 춘춘이래 레가슬레다 강아 레게데 진짜 되네 델야 셈 shum고야 요마당 되네 셈 shum고메아 셈베게 두스양아 ഞ്ഞел레냐 장도르 제바이나 안 되네게 다 체유데 갑라 강아 체데 갑라 되네 고 남상 오다디 인다 셈베게 남상데 쇠보금 투야기 캬브라던데 용고로 네 장아 ഞ്ഞел레네 되네게 강아 마테 ഞ്ഞel레는 즉 장도르 제셈냐 장도르 제리 게치모 차고로 쇠보금 그때 지금에 셈베게 안데 되네게 체유데 갑라 네 쇠보금이야 아니 다 지게 되게 쇠보금 마투 투고 메바이나 아니 가르치워서 삼 오다디 되네 람나 아니 파콘라나 아니 콜레 강아데 나라 강아 라신니가 마치가 차기도 와서 비게 되네게 김제 먹어 삼다제는 쇠보금 삼당외에 게치모 차고로 와
It's important to recognize that in the face of adversity, whether it's one's own inner turmoil or when we encounter someone and they perhaps speaking to us in an abusive manner, it is difficult in the face of such adversity to practice patience unless one has already trained well in patience. So this is an important point to recognize, because firstly, it should serve to encourage us to utilize our favorable circumstances, to read about patience, reflect on its meaning, meditate on it, cultivate it in this way within ourselves. And secondly, when we do encounter hostile, unwanted circumstances, and we do struggle to be patient, to accept that, to be patient with that too, knowing that it doesn't come easily. We need to transform our way of thinking, and that takes sustained effort over a protracted period of time. So therefore, we need to persevere with this, not expecting a result to come immediately. So we start out by, in the same way as you've been doing in this class already, thinking about the faults that you yourself have experienced from responding to difficult circumstances in an afflicted way. Think about the faults that come to oneself as well as to others through responding in an afflicted way. Secondly, think about the great benefits that come for yourself and others by responding in a skillful manner, by having one's mind stay calm and spacious and undisturbed despite the person and the situation one has encountered or despite our own inner turmoil. This we need to reflect on again and again, because it encourages us to continue to do these meditations and to start to develop new habits, new ways of relating to the same situations. Moreover, when we think about the practice of patience, we tend to mainly think about when we're encountering others, but also think about the practice of patience in terms of overcoming the inner obstacles to cultivating the minds of the Dharma within oneself. Because when I'm sure all of you are watching, you have the wish to cultivate all the minds of the Dharma within you, but you know this is difficult. And here we need to be patient with this difficulty. We need to accept that it is difficult to understand a new Dharma topic, something that is quite technical, perhaps seems quite abstract, something that is new to us. This is not surprising. That is the way it is in the world. To learn something new requires effort over a sustained period. Likewise, trying to change our mind, transform our way of thinking, this too doesn't come about easily. We have lifetimes of habits to transform. So therefore, start out by reflecting on the faults of not having patience, the benefits of having it, and then accepting that we will continue, as long as we are samsaric beings, to experience unwanted situations, problems, difficulties and obstacles, such as with our inner development. And therefore, not to be surprised by this. This is par for the course. Everything that's worthwhile, everything that's rare but of great meaning, comes about with effort. All the skills we've developed in this life have come about with effort. They haven't naturally or come about easily without needing to try. So this is realistic. Remind yourself of this. This gives you strength of mind, but remind yourself of this repeatedly. And then, in the meditation then, reflect on situations that you've encountered that have been difficult, where you have responded in an afflicted way. See the faults of that, and think, how could I have responded? How could I have kept my mind spacious and calm in that circumstance? And this is important, because these are experiences we have where we haven't utilized that situation well, where it has overwhelmed us, overcome us, our afflictions arose. And we will encounter them again. So let's role play, let's train our mind so that we can be skilled when we meet them again. And when you think ahead of the day, when you think about the day ahead, and you know you may well have a few difficult circumstances, role play those now. What may I encounter? How do I keep my mind genuinely calm and spacious in the face of that adversity? And in this way, one gains ever greater experience and skill, and then reflect on how you've done. Utilize that to notice where you are doing better, and where you can do better, take that as positive. You have seen where you can develop further. In this way, you keep adding to your strength of mind and your enthusiasm. And if you do this, you can be sure that transformation will come.
Denigi dang zu subi so ko me ke lo chang du ke la dang zu ge dang wo zu chang du dang zu mi sa chi ne so su ki mi sa na lo ki de ro ti ke sam dang ro cha sa kon zu ge dang zu mi ke di na dang zu nyam du de mi sa chi nyam de ba ina da chi ke so so chi ne denigi an ko ti ni lam da denigi di so ko ge so ko na sam be ke sam cha de ro and then zuke misai nara da misai na zuke da chinga nyamdo da core you knowledge na lega lega nyamdo ina da nyamdo yobana ndiso lya mi che ne ndiso bo ko me ga ja dire denege samdan denege je wa cha cha ne anya so so ni hor gi tikele ni hor taring sta and denege a so ba denege den dusus kom gi na se be so ba ko me ja da sem loder ja de da nganzo la kanga ma de karli go sne gi na tu di gen nyamdo le de 코로나에다 기시 추수셔야 돼요. 근데 망아디롱마다 다른 거 마트가 zel레도 하 카고로와. 제상아주 수비 님는 제 당보는 아주 냠도 예지겐 미디겔이야. 미제는 그에데는 같은 징이 되네. 직서 보고 뭐지 되네. 공기나 선배게 장도 해야 되게 정착을. 제사다 소수기 미사이나다 소수기 녀허드이나 되자. 되는 파 코리오단 되는 매 야체스케스자네 semja 탐지기 되네 삼다제도 전에 세우고 매당 장도를 해야 되는 장고를 해야지 로장야라 두 삼다네 대 당고 송거와.
In the meditation, you're reflecting on the benefits of patience, the faults of not being patient. You then secondly reflecting on that encountering difficulties and obstacles is to be expected. And then thirdly, when you embark on on role-playing situations, seeing how you can respond more skillfully, here in this section, start with those with whom you interact the most, in particular those with whom you live. Focus on the situations where you've had difficulties there, as well as the difficult situations you're likely to encounter with them. And thereafter, train in perhaps your work colleagues or your clients, those whom you also meet often, but not those that you meet as often as those that you live with. And thereafter, keep expanding it further, because the purpose of training in this way is those that we interact with the most lead to the most opportunities, the most frequent opportunities for either afflictions to arise within us or for us to respond skillfully and be of benefit to them. And we'll continue. Now we look at the next perfection, that of joyous perseverance. In verses 29 and 30, when armor-like joyous perseverance, steady and immovable, is worn, your qualities of scripture and realization increase like a waxing moon. All your conduct becomes meaningful, and all you undertake succeeds as hoped for. Knowing this, to dispel all forms of laziness, bodhisattvas apply joyous perseverance of enormous strength. I, a yogi, have practiced in this manner. You, who aspire for liberation, should do likewise. Looking at the first line, when armor-like joyous perseverance, steady and immovable, is worn. So that now we're starting to look at the need for joyous perseverance. For example, when one is engaging in a virtuous activity, whether you're directly helping others or one is accumulating virtue so that one can spiritually develop and be of ever greater benefit to others, those times it's all too easy to have a laziness arise and overwhelm us. So rather, when we have the opportunity to engage in virtue, intentionally generate a mind of delight, a mind of joy. Joy in this opportunity that we have to accumulate virtue. Delight in this opportunity we have to accumulate the causes for happiness, for ourselves, as well as for others. And if we do just that, that immediately serves to counteract the potential for laziness to arise. And laziness can take many forms. It can take a form of not fulfilling the virtuous activity well, just doing it in a way so that it's done and out the way. Or it can take the form of procrastination, where we say, tomorrow, next week, next month. And the fault of not relying on joyous perseverance is that this incredible opportunity that we've achieved, this opportunity that was achieved with such difficulty and is so rare, it will be lost. Not just our lifetime, but our lifespan, but also this particular opportunity that one has to accumulate virtue. This will end. And we have this one opportunity now to use it as well as we can. And here we generate not just the mind of perseverance, but a mind of joy, where we take delight in what we're doing, a mind that is light and joyful at what we are doing. The second aspect is that of perseverance, which means one engages in virtue continuously, not just now and then we're done, but the term perseverance has this connotation of continuity, where one continuously engages in virtue, delighting whilst doing so. So that's the meaning of joyous perseverance.
Lungdo yende yangwe dashin pes. Tisa lungdo yende yangwe dashin pes de sosugi gewe jawa la ya be zundu geje gao. Zundu sene di gewe jawa cheba la ya be galang la chi suwa. Jine ge zundu galang la chi zundu hyoba ina zuki andi bene chue nyaya da andi donda sam daya da dine liya andi zundu hyoba ina de jaya gabu shi galang la chi hyoba ina andi nga zuki jiki yende de ye dawa nashi dawa yangun nashi ya cher yende ya guani gongdo peki de yesi urwa de nga zuki jik bene töba cheba ina töba chena jik töle nyele be chue nyele gabu shuji be ya ure sam ji galang la je bene yane nyaya ki töba le nyen rukuro dine yane yado nye yado dine su mango cha goya da ya jik donda dike sam daya da di gomde be ya ure sam be galang la je nyemena ndele ya gabu yena di anjege döba dönyer shukcheri gora 제자 존재자 디겐 donda yana samda dine donda nesudi mar shin gora 제자 dine자 dinege 존재 yobaine be lungda ben tege lungi yendenda sosuge nyamle지는 야 로리야 냠뇽 돈 똑바지야데 yendede ya dawa 양원하지 야 야야야 주고리에서 그러와
In the second line, your qualities of scripture and realization increase like a waxing moon. So here in dependence on generating joyous perseverance, this mind that delights in virtue, we will seek out and embrace opportunities to accumulate virtue. For example, when there's an opportunity, like right now, to watch this teaching, great joy will arise. And the importance of this is this great joy arising in this opportunity to accumulate the causes that will lead to our transformation means we will easily overcome the obstacles that we do have to receiving teachings. Likewise, if we're struggling to establish a daily meditation practice or to have put more time into our daily meditation practice, it's through generating this joy that we'll want to ever more so. We'll see how fortunate we are to have these opportunities. We'll want to repeatedly over a sustained period engage in ever more cultivation of virtue. In other words, in this illustration, the receiving of teachings and the reflecting on those teachings, and thereby readily overcome the obstacles that we have to do so. And through this process, as we gather more knowledge and more experience based on that knowledge, we start to feel an inner transformation coming about. And this happens as naturally as a waxing moon, because through accumulating the causes, the results come. So therefore, our qualities of scripture and realization, so our understanding and the integration of these teachings, these grow within one like a waxing moon. This too, this inner development, serves to enhance the joy, serves to enhance our wish to continue, to persevere, or to continue over a sustained period, living a life of great meaning.
Dine jelam damje dena denpa gyuru sede, da jelam sede nga zu luye jeba, nga ge jeba, yi ge jeba, dine ge, da nga zu jelam gane shine, da gewe jawa la, ngewa cheba la, ba zhoye sanba, samlo je dine jeba ina, nga zu jelam gi sene, nga luye jebe gi tone, ane jige la yi tenpa jawa la soba da, ane jige la gi kone, ane nga zu cheba puya la soba da, dine ge luye kone yungurwa, ane cha chewa la soba da. Then nga yu kone, ane san yigi, ane chik sung, nga zuke nga du kaidun chaya da, dini ki mene chaya la sopa da, dini kyo ya di nga yu chelam. Karsan deba yu na, ngewa deli di kaso re, zhuwe senpa, gewe jawa la zhuwe senpa yu na, nga yu chelam na, yi lu yu chelam, gewe jawa zhutu kore. Dan samla tangla yu ne, goncho la deba chaya da, di chine ya kuwa senpa kin, ne gewe chama, chik samla tangla du, ane chik samla nangla da, nga zu gewe jawa chaya la, jimbe nyamle, tsutri nyamle, sube nyamle, dati nyamle mungu chaya za, jizan deli ya gaiwe, zhuwe, sanpa xueba na samla nangla di samla de le yungurwa, jizan dini yanzang lu da, nga da, hana nga simki jawa kanishi na de duanda tenpa chaya korisi. Duanda tenpa si du, di nyamle jeba ina, di debu, oba na digi yuanya ki, di chaya korwa duanda tenpa saya dirwa, di yungurwa yase.
Third line, all your conduct becomes meaningful. So here, through cultivating joyous perseverance within oneself, one will apply oneself wholeheartedly in all aspects over a continuous period to the cultivation of virtue. One will do so through one's physical activities, our physical behavior, our verbal behavior, as well as our way of thinking. So for example, physical behavior will make prostrations or offerings, and we'll do so motivated by mind of faith, motivated by the wish to accumulate virtue to be of ever greater benefit to others. And also we'll engage in verbal virtuous behavior, such as the recitation of mantras, such as Om Mani Padme Hum, recitation of one's commitments, all the while motivated by virtuous minds, again, such as faith, the wish to benefit others, and so forth. And this ensures that our conduct becomes meaningful, which itself means that our conduct creates the causes for happiness, happiness for ourselves and others.
Dene gangzam lege tanam yishin drupsede. Ta gangzam sede gangzam lege tanam yishin drupsede. Ngazo gewe jawa gandeshi zamba ina ya. Ane zunru yoba ina digi jawa zunbe tar chin yungure. Tar chin ne sosuge duanda di yigi samba nashin duanda drupuri esi ruwada. Jisa zunru mewa ina bene ngazo gewe jawa jibene mi cha bumchik sekin sa changa zu gewe cha ko zu xie an dene zene da an de sene jige zunde ja le lo le wan da kale ka de da yongsa maras be du sha sha ben ko de shi bumchik se bumchik zhuftu go ma wa 지단 zunde yo ba na da dene ge zunde xine be da dene se be ya wu re san be ge zunde ga wa shu shu ba na da dene ge ra ya de le za qing bo da go ga ra ya ga le ha bu re de ring dene ya be ya wu yin sam ji zunde qing bu yo ba na dene mu di yu chen na ko so su ge de ba na xin de ji bum chi se yin se de bum chi da da zhu tu se tu re se ro on be di na xin na zo ge we ja wa ga re zhu be ne nyam ne che be ne so su ge zunde yo ba na ane de le de ne nga zo ge samba nashin nyamlendi dada dunda zhuyung kores. Penanga zhugeda dende kiawa chima lada migo wang tubi chirdu samda chebayna digi jawa zhuyung chike jawa zumyo du an maungpa di tebu zhutuwa na. Tarbada tamche kimbyo ko wang toya chidu inbayna nga zhug di cheba zundu zumchi nyamlen chebayna zhutu kores. Da nga zhug shini zhugwes nga zhug zundu zumchi shini nyamlen chebayna zundu di yun ma cheba chi zundu nyamlen lebayna nga zhug shini di zhutu kores. Cheza dine za nga zhug gewe jawa kare zumba zundu ji mudu je yobayna gewe jawa donta dada zhutu kores. Tadi zundu mewa na dangbo zundu mudu madu bachi parada zundu mewa cha sombayna nga zhug zam chere nga yore. Sinza zundu ji gechi moresi kuruwa.
And lastly in this verse, and all you undertake succeeds as hoped for. We all have our aspirations in terms of the Dharma, goals that we wish to achieve, the person that we long to be. With joyous perseverance, we will be able to become that person. We will be able to have a meaningful impact on the lives of others. We will be able to help others ease their burden of suffering. And this is because with joyous perseverance, every virtuous activity we engage in, we will create vast stores of virtue from that activity. And not only that, we will be able to develop that activity to a state of perfection. To understand the role of joyous perseverance well, we think of how one engages in an activity where joyous perseverance is lacking. There it's seen as a task. It's seen as something we have to do. We have to get it out of the way so we can thereafter do something else that brings us joy. And that is a grave loss, a grave error in that it leads to a loss of rare and precious opportunities. So, for example, if a student has 100,000 prostrations to do, they know they need to get it done, but they lack joyous perseverance. For them, laziness will be a major impediment. Laziness may well prevent them from completing their 100,000 prostrations. Or, if they do manage to complete it, the quality of virtue that could have been accumulated will not. Rather, the quality of the virtue will be poor. And this is because of the lack of joyous perseverance, and therefore laziness, weakening the motivation, weakening the resolve. Whereas on the other hand, should joyous perseverance be continuously generated or regularly generated and continuously present, those 100,000 prostrations will not be overcome by, or the completion of them will not be overcome by laziness. Moreover, they will be completed well. Maximum virtue will be accumulated. The quality of one's practice will be excellent. So joyous perseverance ensures that not only do we complete our virtuous activities, but the quality of them is excellent. And so, for example, if one has the goal of liberation, one knows, I have to achieve liberation. I don't want to suffer anymore, and to do so, I have to develop the wisdom realizing emptiness. And in order to do that, I have to cultivate the union of calm abiding and meditative insight. But in order to be able to cultivate concentration, I have to develop first ethical restraint, the first of the 3 higher trainings. With joyous perseverance present, one will look at this goal of liberation and see, I can achieve this. This is not beyond me. And in every step that I need to take, I will do so. How fortunate I am to have this opportunity. How fortunate I am to have now knowledge and the opportunity to reflect on it. And I will do so continuously until I achieve my goal. And with this mind that takes delight in receiving teachings, in reading on them and meditating on them, one will be able to guard one's mind well, restrain oneself, live an ethical life, thereby rapidly cultivate or develop the basis for developing concentration and thereafter wisdom. This is the crucial role that joyous perseverance plays in our spiritual development.
Denigi detarashene sedu chisan zunjugi yunde deni sheba hago wachi chisan zunju zomba ina mazo kiwi chawa lunga ge choba chasa ane kiwi dena de bachaya da ane kiwi chawa dige nyamlen dige ane tyosom gomsu nyalen dige dawa yanga de kaune ko de peya ane lelo dige majiya deni yonggo ores chisan deni inza denigi zunjugi nyamlen cheba ina ane yunde deni thongada 다 존재 맞게 와진 마죠 바이나 네 존재기 무티지 말레 바이나 아니 지게 기회 자와디게 야 안에 권에 고도 메파와 아니 아 저기 된다 당보 자와 권수 마이나 아니 자와디 탈마기 봐 안디네 용고레 지자 존재 맞소 바디 꽤 존재 좀 바디 연데 딘데 여바디 근데 제일 셈바 남기 도시에 킹고레스 켄제난 저지만 남게 가르쳐 왔으니 시에네 아니 레로 군세비세데 레로 세데 아주 기위 자와 냠네 야 공부 돼야라 당보 기위 자와로 고좀야디 레로디가 바시시 레로레 아데가 용서 말anga 지지 연구도 세다 되네 내 연구 말해서 레로 계시 레로기 기위 자와로 고주야 돼야 레로디가 바시지 고레스 난 기위 자와도 고주네 나 that 당보 되네 게와데 레로 메바체 냠는제 고주베네 양 기위 자와 고주베네 paradelya lelo leodu digi yang kiwe ja tharma ki ba ba sha she gores chisa lelo se de ngazo tangbo gewala gozomya juba de lelo ge ka gu barshi chi gore parana gewala ju chene nyamne jibi kapde lelo le chi lelo di won ge ya jawa de thar ma kyu ba che an ma an ka de tin shi gore chisa de ne sa chisa lelo se de ngazo kiwe jawa nyamne je barshi zo yin ba de chi ge din za an din ge ane lelo ge kyen de ge thong che ne ane lelo de payaga tondala ane lapchimbo ane be chike nuba chembo ane gyumse mangpo samdaje ane zunju ki yunden da zunju ma zomba ane yunden yoba zunju ma zomba ane gyun yoba dine samdaje dine da semgya chimba semgya tam chike tondala ya da sangyo kopa tola ya chik zunju ma zomba jigi mindu samje dine ki lapchingi zunju diki ane gyase chanchu semba ane dusine 전주기 교회나 전주 공부 연대 마공반의 교회 레로의 교회들이 삼다시 두시네는 전주 중국어래지
Verse 30. Knowing this, to dispel all forms of laziness, bodhisattvas apply joyous perseverance of enormous strength. Bodhisattvas then, recognizing the essential nature or the great need for joyous perseverance, the tremendous benefits that come from cultivating it, ensure that they cultivate joyous perseverance at the outset of every activity, whether it's an activity that is solely mental or also one that is expressed physically and or verbally. They always cultivate joyous perseverance at the outset. And moreover, they keep joyous perseverance present throughout an activity until they're brought it to completion, because it's joyous perseverance that ensures that the activity will be brought to completion, whether it's a particular, whether it's a study and knowledge to be gained, whether it's the integration of that knowledge within oneself so that realizations are achieved. These all come about due to the power of joyous perseverance. It's joyous perseverance that takes the development of these qualities to perfection. And moreover, the Bodhisattva recognizes that joyous perseverance needs to be cultivated at the outset to ensure that one's motivation is strong and one's motivation is pure, and it needs to be cultivated throughout the endeavor, not only to ensure that it's completed and completed well, but so as to prevent the rise of laziness. Because this always can happen. Bad habits can arise, whether it's a laziness of procrastination or a laziness of being attracted to activities that just waste our time, consume our life. The Bodhisattva is always on guard, always ensuring they are not deceived by their afflictions. And they do this here with the utilization of joyous perseverance. Seeing the faults of laziness, seeing the faults of laziness, that laziness leads to us losing this rare and precious opportunity. They generate a joyous perseverance at the outset, ensure that it remains throughout, that they see the activity through to the end, always taking delight. Because after all, Bodhisattva knows there is nothing more important and therefore nothing more delightful than developing qualities within oneself so that they can be of benefit to others. And thereby, the Bodhisattva is able to accumulate stores of enormous virtue.
Shenyi Duen Duyata, and Sanji Kopan Toyaki, Pajin Duyan Yamlin Chevala, and Duston the Samgores. Tizangi Nea, and the Chigi, Zundu Yende, and Zundu Yende Kimsen. Number Nasukone, 20 in there samda, and the Lelogi Guen samda, Jizan Lelo Kebaina, and the Dambo Kewa Jubala, Barche, and the Bardo Kewa Yagome Gonde Gondo Pewale Barche, Jizan Dini is a Givi Jawa Tarmachim Guen, Tarchim, Jizan Lelo Guen Dine, Dajin, Nina Duchin, and the 20 Zomba Yinje. That cannot be near the Jigger, Dunga Tadalo Dresha, San Yokobo, Tobiaki Duba Yobanza, D, and San Yokobo. Tobialia and Zundu Zum Gores, not 20 Mudisha, Nini Matsumbaina, and Sanyokoba to Mares, Givi Jawa Karina, Tarsi to Marinza, Zundu Zum Yamlin Jawa, Geshe Mores, Sumorva.
Geshe Rabten then concludes with, I, a yogi, have practiced in this manner. You who aspire for liberation should do likewise. So he, just like all the Buddhas and those who are on the Bodhisattva paths, they trained in seeing the grave dangers that laziness presents, that laziness prevents one from utilizing this rare and precious opportunity well, and thereby cultivated joyous perseverance, and not only cultivated but ensured that it was maintained at all times. They recognized, or Geshe Rabten himself recognized the danger of laziness, that it serves as a severe impediment to one embarking on a virtuous activity. It serves as a severe impediment to one continuing in a virtuous activity. And it serves as a severe impediment to one completing each and every virtuous activity. And fourthly, it serves as a severe impediment to that virtuous activity being completed well. In other words, if one does complete something, but below one's capacity, the opportunity largely is lost because the amount of virtue and thereby benefit to others is largely lost. But a joyous perseverance present, great stores of virtue are accumulated in that same activity, and that activity which is completed through being done well and was started by being embarked on with great excitement, with great joy. So therefore, Geshe Rabten made great endeavors in cultivating joyous perseverance.
Pei samdayade Geshe Zunju Gombaina, Zunju saidi on the Givi Java Chevala, Druy Samba, Galana, Siguro Druy Samba, Givi Java Chevala, Galana, Zunju Sigurua. Jizading on the Yelenea, Zunju Chike, Zunju Zumbaina, that Deniki Givi Java Chile Pando Chevaina, and Rala Pando Yuba, Shella Pando Yuba, and Rashin Yigala Pando Yubica samdaya, the Benazugi. Surum Sunyalia, Sunyal Bay, Mazi Yagore, SMB Sumba, Samdavana, Surum Sumbaina, Lunga Yiji, Yeju Dumbi, Surum Sumbaina, and the Rangla, and the Neva Masapa, and the Shala Gamamateva, Setelina, Rashinika Gamacheva, Tiki Yada, and the Digi Tibu, Kiwachima, and Alhada Muko to Giobada, and Tarbada Tamjiki Boko to be Jashu Simdi, Gunia Lanche. Surim Soina and Sayoko to be Yutuba, Surim Yamlin, Parjin Drugna, the Surin Yamlin Chago, those Yamlin Jad, Jad Bay, some down, some down the Yunde, some Davana, the Yunde, some down the Yunde Toido, or Daddy, Jan Bay, some Begana, Yad Chago, Yunde, some Dangore, in the Sebi Yunde, some diada, then the Sebuko Yunde, some dina, Sebuko Mialia, Joy Semba, Surim Zundili, Jimbigi Yende Samdavana, and the Jimbachiala, Jimbe some Janyam and Chialia, and the Joy Sabali. Tanga to give it Chava, Kare Chevina, Dele, Yunden, the Yunden, some died, Delia Joy Sabali, which is that Diniki Joy Sabali, a lot to Juniam and Chevala, and Yele, Diniki Yunden, Pa, some Diana, Yado, some Davana, and the Jundu Joy Sabali to go there. That Zundu Dosho Lelo de Yuen Samda, Lelo Chebaina, that gave a Jawa to Bayan to get Lelo Chen, Jay Yomaya, Dean Maya, which is a Lagachasa, Tushu to that giving Yamlin Chasa, Tushu to Chasa, Tushu to Vana, that gave Lelo Chedu, giving Yamlin Majedu, and Laga Jin Jigo, what the Majava Yundugo, the Namian get out, and the Chige. Shall Nipi Java Makocha didn't Diva Sag to which is a Lelo Wangi Sabana, Kiwi Java Yamla Yapumayoa, and the Digby Java that Dinigi, Leoma, Dineza, and Digi and Rashinika La Kangate and Matamindu, and so young Mango Ragidu, Seta Dinez, Lelo Yun didn't do Asibi, Lelo Yun some down. Sunday Kiwi Java Druba in the Yundin did in the Yore some time do. That you in the Yobana, Delia Kawaki or Disa, Galana said Sunday Legorwa. The Nigi, some time and the Sunday Kialia, and then Yamlen Chevale do some tongue with it all.
So important that we cultivate this mind that delights in engaging in virtue and wants to engage in virtue ever more. The way we cultivate it then is 2 steps in the meditation. We first reflect on the benefits of joyous perseverance, reflecting that it's having this mind that delights in virtue and only in virtue, not it's the application of joyous perseverance is only in relation to the object of virtue, not to any other object. So the great benefits of cultivating joyous perseverance is it serves to propel us to engage in activities of virtue, to seek them out, and with joy and delight to engage in them. Moreover, through the continuous generation of joyous perseverance, we will continue in our virtuous activities and bring them to perfection. So not only does it encourage joyous perseverance, encourage one to engage in virtue and bring them to perfection, but then secondly, the amount of virtue that we accumulate is so much more than if we had completed the activity without joyous perseverance. We, instead of seeing it as a task, we see ourselves as supremely fortunate. So therefore, when we generate joyous perseverance, we will complete what we do, we will seek out opportunities to cultivate virtue and complete them, and accumulate vast stores of merit whilst doing so. So for example, it's been said many times that ethical restraint is crucial. It's the foundation for all good qualities. And so this restraint of our body, speech and mind, when we apply joyous perseverance to that, with great delight and ease, we will restrain our mind from coming under the influence of the afflictions, because we'll know that it's the afflictions that harm us and cause us to suffer. And when we express those afflictions, we directly harm others. And moreover, due to the afflictions impeding our spiritual development, we indirectly harm others in that, due to spiritually developing so much more slowly than we have the potential to, we aren't able to have the impact on the lives of others we otherwise would have. So here, with joyous perseverance, we take delight in restraining our mind, of developing new ways of thinking, new mental habits. And generally, to take joy in the Dharma is crucial. It is so important. To the extent we take joy in the Dharma, we will overcome the obstacles we have to receiving teachings, to reflecting on those teachings, and to keeping those teachings, the meaning of those teachings, present, manifest in our daily activities, influencing us in all our activities and encounters with others. Therefore, delight in the Dharma, joy in the Dharma is so important. So this is the first part of the meditation, the benefits of joyous perseverance. The second part is the faults of laziness. And again, laziness takes many forms. Laziness thinking we don't have the ability to do something or achieve something that we do. A laziness of procrastination, or laziness of being distracted to things of no value. This serves to consume our lives, to waste opportunities that come our way, lead us to not even recognizing opportunities to accumulate virtue, to not taking opportunities to accumulate virtue, or when we do so as a sense of obligation, as a task, and thereby either not completing them or not doing so well. Moreover, due to being lazy and not being diligent, we will continue to be overcome by the enemy of the afflictions. We will not be able to successfully and rapidly transform our mind. So therefore, it's imperative we recognize the great importance of joyous perseverance, as well as the faults of laziness, and then, with a mind of delight, engage in virtue continuously.
당아 전주 코로나를 삼다베네. 전주 유엔데 코로나 삼다베네. 지난 기회 자월 주에 삼바 제바 있나? 맞아 기회 자와 가르나 지투투스. 지난 때 지난 기회 자와디 주에 삼바디 모두 요바나 기회 자와 다시 형투스. 지난다 냠렌지 람 냠렌지 캔 저주 삼바다. 다 상주 코로나 주이네 기회 자와 제를 조 전주디 모두 진도시나네. 도시 냠렌 나와라 때네. 타바 상제다 상주고바 토바레 전주세만의 비디네 냠난 거 디네자 소소라이네 기회 자와 제할이야 또 선바의 무디 쉬어야야 안디 배야고도와 선비디 무디 진냠는 지긴 선배선다다 디네 주에 선바 무디네 자다 대라 디네 연대 관계고도 패투고도 제상 주에 선바 전주세의 배마시기 계주야고 연대야고 시해샤 선배의 삼다의 주전주 코로나리야 연대 삼다 딘제베는 아주 전주 좀 야래야 지난 전주 매나 아니 무티 전주 당보 매나 아니 ля가 베나 기회 자와 주에 선배 매나 기회 자와야 고좀야야 리그미도 지난다 고좀바이나 주에 선바디 바 냠송바이나 야 주에 무티니 말레바이나 안 빠체 기회 자와 된다 주투면도 지난 주에 선바디 무티지 냠나저 빼마스 계층벌샤다 지제바이나 소제 기회 자와 가르투베네 돈나 줌마투에지 민도 투부도와 선배 삼단대가 전주 코로나에 연대 삼다베네 전주디 냠렌지야다 무디와야달라 아니 도스체나 삼단고인이로
We don't often explicitly talk about joyous perseverance, so I want to use this opportunity to emphasize its importance. We implicitly often refer to it, but not so much directly. It's a crucial mind to develop. It's a mind that will transform how we live what remains of this life. Because what it comes down to is a mind that delights in the Dharma. A mind that delights in the Dharma. Because joyous perseverance relates solely to the object of virtue. So when we can see we have an opportunity to receive a teaching, to read a book, to reflect on its meaning, delight will arise in us. That will ensure we overcome our obstacles. Obstacles which here we express as laziness. The obstacles such as, I have so many things to do. That is an attachment to all these things that are not usually that necessary. Or the obstacle of laziness of procrastination. Moreover, there's a laziness of discouragement, where one thinks to oneself, this is too difficult, this is beyond me. And this then we can relate to the previous part of this talk, which was on patience. Being patient with the obstacles we encounter with practicing the Dharma. So here with joyous perseverance, we also apply this attitude to when we're encountering obstacles. And here we know that the great beings in our world, the bodhisattvas, were once ordinary just like me. And they faced this self-same obstacle that I now am facing. And they overcame it. Therefore, I can too. I mustn't allow myself to fall under the influence of the laziness or discouragement, feeling I can't do this. I can. I am so fortunate to have this opportunity now to transform my way of thinking about this obstacle into an opportunity to overcome it and be patient with this obstacle, not allow myself to be overwhelmed by this affliction. And this way of thinking then enables us to overcome obstacles, to embark on journeys of virtue. And not only embark on them, but to continue them and bring them to perfection, and do so well. Therefore, joyous perseverance is of such great importance.
다른 것도 준주셔야지. 다 기회 자와직이야. 즉 가위 삼바 주위 삼바서라 기회 자와직이야. 주위 삼바디 준주래 거와. 지사다 가지고 냐지 디부체야. 직심제 소셔제야다. 내게 냐취야래 배 가오라 용으로 왔으면 현来려지야다. 현来직고 그래서 디비 자와라 아니 직 가라라 시시야디 준주 체거 말든 로비 준주 로바래 준주 말에 돼서 준주 세야디 그냥 저기 개위 자와 질이야 가라라 제디 가보셔야지 준주 가봐 맞아 디비 자와다 근데 개위 자와 마인게기 변해야지 시 차야다 근데 참 차야다 근데 헐야지 가보 영화 저러와 니스 준주 말에 야지 직 준주 세야디 개위 자와 직 자야를 제야리야 가보 가라라들라 준주 시기래.
In the world, people do generate joy in many things. They may persevere in the development of many skills. But that doesn't necessarily constitute joyous perseverance. Joyous perseverance specifically relates to virtue, to delighting in virtue. People who enjoy fishing, they delight in fishing. They will overcome the obstacles perhaps of bad weather, and they will persevere and enjoy themselves. That is not joyous perseverance. Likewise, people taking delight in forms of entertainment, whether it's singing or dancing, this too doesn't constitute joyous perseverance. One may persevere, one may engage in it continuously until one has developed a skill well, and one may take great delight in it. But joyous perseverance relates to virtue. Joyous perseverance only relates to virtue.
당은저 내가 로실레베네 다 현리야 지기 팬비게 삼노다제 다本身就로봇이 내가래나 다 코깔래고 콜레 팬 다 로봇이 우선비 소소 팬비 선비군에 콜이야 아니 팬게 삼다제 주신을 다 내가 제베네 어디 레알이야 콜이야 핑고라 콜레 핑고라 아주 팬비 삼다 콜이야 팬야 삼다제 내가래나 근데 그거지 내가 갈래고 찔레되면 아주 로봇 제베는 그 요거 살 콜을 차데 디네 저기 콜 팬비 삼다제 콜 로봇 제베는 다양지 개화 책으로 가서 콜레 핑고래 네 아주래 아주 기회 삼다제 핑고와 제사디 전에 버시 가위 된 제알에 자와디 다 준비 책이로와 야 미지 냐로식 수요고 심지 수요고에나 코베 갈래슈 지에는 어다디 코가 디스마도 강아도 딩이 로고 체시 서로 저와서 비지 서로 로고 제베나 소수 삼도 가서 코강아 드니 냐들 삼당 거 말아 미들이야 코 심진데 수마도 강아도 딘생이 콜로 로고 지인 세비게 저코 팬심 삼다지 로고 제기 삼다지 심진데 냐디 주로다 서로 지거데 디야 계획 자와 책고 말아 가서네 미텔레 페네섬도 어디 찍들을 내기 삼다서라다 코스로시 로봇이고 와지다 니 델러 제디 기회 잡아 차고 말해 지나 델야 데니기 로봇 제기다 가라나 제베네 야 준비 차고 말와 지제 기회 잡아서도 신 개와 제발에 신지를 많이 베토네 내직 제고에 개치 마셔
The joyous perseverance then is applied only to virtue. And whether something is virtuous or not largely depends on one's motivation. So whatever your job is, or even outside of your job, whatever various activities one engages in, these mostly are not explicit Dharma activities. However, through generating a good motivation, that by engaging in whatever one's mundane work is, or household tasks, or interactions with others, by engaging this, may I bring benefit to others, may I ease their burden, may I develop good relationships with them, positive and virtuous relationships. And with this motivation, engage in this very ordinary activity, merit will be accumulated. And doing so then with delight, and doing so well, so persevering at it, will lead to a lot of merit being accumulated from something very ordinary. So it does not have to be an explicit Dharma activity for one to persevere with joy. But through a good motivation, to engaging in whatever one's everyday work is, or interactions with others, virtue can be accumulated, and large stores will be through applying joyous perseverance. That being said, the purpose of the Buddha Dharma is to develop our wisdom. Therefore, we must always rely on intelligence. So if a friend of ours is going fishing, and the weather is particularly rotten, and you think, oh, they're going to really have a hard time out there in the boat in this bad weather, let me go and help them and be some good company and help them get their catch for the day so that they can be out of this suffering environment, this unpleasant environment, and be home quickly in the warmth. This is not accumulating virtue. And whilst one may persevere and do so be with your friend with some delight, this is not joyous perseverance, because in order to help one being, one is harming others. This is not virtuous. Let's use our intelligence. And in these cases, we shouldn't help. And if possible, discourage them, depending on our relationship. But we shouldn't aid them at all. But in other activities, generate a virtuous motivation, joy, and make effort, and virtue will be accumulated, even from mundane activities.
Koi simchen sokchu je nyajo simchen sokchu je ko dibi lega chi go delia koi dibi lega chela gawu je ane delia ro chi go je da di shenji dibi che ba le jesu yi da cha ro la je di dibi cha ro re zhe xie kong ma le.
Moreover, if one were to help a fisherman, the joy that you take in helping this person accumulate virtue, you yourself are not accumulating virtue. In fact, you're accumulating non-virtue.
Ora 당은도 디슈베 딜레 진비님네 제바다 안에 쇠비님네 제바 가소레 예 쇠비님네 제바다 안에 준주님네 제바 제상만을 주가리나 다 쇠바세디 안에 이게 현래 뇌비 자와다 신디니 삼다반데 델리아 안에 쇠베고면 쇠비 판도유 편유 삼다야다 안에 랑래 팬바 현래 파바 쇠비 윤대 삼다 되니게다 랑강아 태야다 현강아 태디 갑자기 쇠바고바 이나 되니 쇠바디게 판도유 바삼다 진의 쇠바님네지야 대소수게 당번에 되니게 마중이엘네 안에 가서 두스기 강아디 되니게 셰바네 두시기나 셈비게데 디시셰바나 쇠바삼다야레 당고서 되니게 냠는지도 고수 태베 갑래나 델레 쇠바곰투야다 두시야레 지자다 되니자 저기 계획자와 가서 제배나다 제그 준비고도 제상 델레야 계획자와들이야 안에 윤대 삼다 전대 삼다면 계획자와를 쪼와기야다 아니 레로게 교연 삼다야다 안에 되니 아니 준비 계획자와 가래 제배나 준비 유명체가 용고도 되는 제배나 안에 계획자와 탈침바 툭툭 선배 윤대 삼다제 안 저기 안에 좀 해야 돼 아 예심벌에 해서 제가 저기 다디 디르쇼게 셰디 다디셰
So this morning then, we've looked at the two perfections of patience and joyous perseverance. So the meditations on them have some similarities in that one starts out by reflecting on the great benefits of cultivating these minds and the faults of not doing so. So in terms of patience, one reflects on the great benefits that come to oneself as well as to others, both in the short term as well as the long term. And one needs to embark on the cultivation of patience now, so that when one encounters life's difficulties, when one encounters life's obstacles, one can then, in dependence on our training, apply our training well, and thereby ensure our mind stays undisturbed in the face of adversity. And patience is expressed in three different ways. So there's the patience of disregarding the harm from others. So having one's mind remain undisturbed whilst others are acting in a harmful manner. And secondly, the patience of willingly accepting one's inner turmoil. So this is where one's own minds are afflicted, where one's suffering in that way, but not allowing those afflictions to dominate, and rather overcoming them, keeping one's mind undisturbed. The third is patience with respect to the practice of Dharma. So when we encounter obstacles, to not allow ourselves to become dispirit or weak-minded, but to rather ensure that we persevere, that we don't allow our mind to be overcome by these obstacles in practicing the Dharma. And then in terms of joyous perseverance, again, we reflect on the great benefits that come from accumulating virtue, the faults of either not engaging in virtue or not doing so well. And then again, there are, here, when we reflect on the faults of laziness, there are different kinds of laziness. So we need to look out for those. The laziness that says, we're not good enough, this is too difficult. The laziness that says, I don't have time now, tomorrow or next year. The laziness that says, I have to do all these tasks. The act of virtue can wait. So here we need to reflect on the benefits of patience and joyous perseverance and the faults of not having these developed well in us, and then engage in these meditations. So we'll finish there for this morning, and this afternoon we'll continue with the next perfection, that of concentration. So thank you very much.